always his work my father cared about. His research. He tried to save his work. I tried to save him.
Hello there, Sera from 17 once again, introducing you to my Gears of War 3 Insane Difficulty video walkthrough. And this is Act 1, Chapter 3, Homecoming. And the first thing you're going to notice here, guys, is you're now playing as the Coal Train, baby. And this is a really cool level, this one. We're basically going to try and get supplies, and we're with the new character of the team, which is Sam. She's the Aussie chick, and she's a pretty decent character. I did like her, even though she does remind me of Dead Island too much, and I think everybody will understand what I mean by that. And that is the new Carmine, or the Tank, as I like to call him, because Carmine got ripped, man. His little brothers look pathetic compared to this new one. This new one looks like fucking Bane from Batman. He looks like an absolute psycho date rapist. It's great. And what's going to be happening here is there's going to be a couple of quiet moments, and then you're going to get thrown into battle against the Lambent. And the first thing you're going to notice about on Gears of War 3 is, where are the Locusts? And it's a really cool thing what Epic do with the pacing of the game, and what it does for you is it makes it so that you're always fighting something different, you're always fighting something new, and there's always a new enemy turning up and cropping up. And some of the pacing on what you fight is genius. The only problem is you definitely start to see the holes in the gameplay mechanics when you put it on Insane, because I can almost guarantee to you right now there are areas of this game that not a single developer or game tester touched on Insane. And the reason I say this is because they will make you want to cry. They will make you want to literally go into the fetal position and wish for, you know, eternal winter, because they get that annoying and that frustrating. It's absolutely crazy. But I was mentioning on the last video that there's something about this game that makes it more challenging than the old ones, and the reason for this is, especially with the introduction of the Lambent, not only do they rush you, but they blow up when they die. So the Lambent wretches of old that everybody used to hate, now every enemy that's Lambent has that potential side effect. That's not mentioning a lot of just the standard fucking Lambent guys have a lot of area of effect. For instance, the Dredgers, when they transform into the three armed things, that attack that he does where he fires the emulsion at you is an insta-kill. And if you're in cover, it can do a lot of damage to you. If you're out of cover, you're dead. There's nothing you can do. There's also an enemy called the Gunker that we're going to be fighting in this level. Well, not this level, but in Act 1, sorry, with Cole, which is an absolute arsehole of an enemy. It is the cheesiest, cheapest, most douchebaggery ever seen in gaming, and it's just frustrating, but you don't feel that way when you play it on the other difficulties. Even on hardcore, there were a couple of cheeky downs, but your mates pick you up and stuff. But on Insane, there's no going down, there's no getting revived by your teammates. If you go down, you are dead. So you need to play as conservatively as possible. And when you go into this park, there's going to be a lovely cutscene, and you're going to be introduced to the Lambent. And this is the first real firefight of the game, if you ask me, because this is where you're going to be introduced to the stalks and how they work, and to enemies that will kill you. So right there is a Dredge. What he has is just transformed, which means he's got the three arms and he means business. But the one thing that really bugs me about the new Lambent is you never know why the Dredge transform. You never know why they mutate. Is it that you shoot them in the wrong place? Is there a certain way to make them change a certain, you know, direction? Because if it was up to me, I'd make them blow up every time because they're easier and they damage the friends. But it doesn't work that way, you see, and you spend a lot of time getting your shit pushed in, which is not a good thing. But you'll also notice I'm using my pistol a little bit, and the reason I'm using my pistol is purely because I know how challenging it gets with ammo, and if you've not experienced it, you'll be a little bit lackadaisical. And if you're wondering what I was doing just then, I knew the enemies were there, but I wanted to go down the slide, because you can actually slide down the slide. I know it's silly, but this is what I get like when I start recording. I start doing silly shit that I wouldn't normally do, and I don't know why. I think it's because I know somebody's going to watch it, and I turn into a bit of a silly bastard. But don't mess about, keep focusing on the pods. They can be quite difficult to see, but if your reticle goes red when you're aiming at the stalks, that means that they are the ones you need to shoot there. That means they're the ones that will take damage. And when they go grey and brown and you know, just dry up and die, that means they will not spawn any more enemies. And the cool thing about them is, if you can get to them and kill them immediately, you'll only have a few Lambent to fight. If you don't get to them, you will have a lot of lambent to fight, and it's this balancing act of prioritising targets, and it does make for strategic and interesting fights. The only problem for me personally is because I've been playing Gears of War forever. I'm so used to just clearing the area out and just going from target to target and killing things. So I often get carried away and I don't realise there's a stalk pumping them out, birthing new enemies and just queefing out new enemies. And I just don't realise. And it does work against me. But the firefight's happening over there, but I've got to go down the slide, so hooray for Cole. Woo! How daft is that? The first time me and my buddy found that out, we were in tears. It was literally the middle of the fight, he went down the slide and then we all died. That's how great it was. But the fight isn't over here, you've got to be careful on this corner because there's a bunch of dredges at distance and they will do some serious damage to you if you're not careful. And the best technique I can basically say when you start taking damage is to evade, regardless as if it's the slightest bit of cog damage or if it's the full red emblem, you know, near death symbol. It doesn't matter because you're always one hit away from perhaps dying. Sometimes you'll not, other times you will, and there's no real way to predict it, so the best thing to do... And look at this! Bird is in my fucking cover, I can't shoot through him, he makes me go out, put myself in danger because he won't fucking move. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. From a narrative perspective and from a gameplay perspective, two completely different things. Narrative-wise, you've got your team with you, they're constantly talking, there's the bravado, there's the friendship, it's awesome. Gameplay-wise, they're a fucking nuisance and I hate them. God, they're annoying. But, believe it or not, there is a strategy that you can use with your team that will make the game a lot easier for you. It all depends on how you like to play. And what I mean by that is, your team now, you can give them weapons, and you can trade weapons with your team. And this enables you to do a few things. The first thing it enables you to do is use your team as a mule, because what will happen is when you give the... Chainsaw! But when you give them a weapon, they'll either start using it or they'll put it on the back and use something else and switch between the two. But what happens is, it doesn't affect the weapon's ammo count. So if you give them a boom shot with 5 booms in it, it will always have 5 booms in it when you take it back off them. It's how it works. And they can use it as much as they want. It looks like they've got infinite ammo, but they do say I'm out and change weapon and things like that. So maybe it's programmed so that you can't exploit it too much. But there's definitely a cool aspect to it, because if you give each of the members of your team a power weapon, like a sniper rifle or a torque bow or something like that, or a digger, they will then, when the shit hits the fan, start using that weapon, and it can really cover your back. There's even a little trick that a lot of Halo fans will probably know, because I heard you could do it on a Halo game, where because they get unlimited ammo, if you keep giving them like a boom shot for instance, and you keep trading weapons, it'll get to the point where you take their other gun off them, so they can only use the boom shot and the pistol, and they'll only put the pistol on when they're pretending to be out of ammo. So what this effectively does is, you'll make them use a boom shot with unlimited ammo, and then they'll run around killing things in like 1 to 2 shots, depending on how accurate they are. And if you give it to all your team, they'll become a massive death squad. The only problem with it is, when I figured out you could give it them and they didn't use the ammo, they started killing everything. And I was literally not doing anything on the game, and I'm making a guide here how to help people get through, and if I'm not doing it but sitting back and letting my team kill stuff, I felt like it wasn't a proper guide, so I ended up taking it off them because, if I'm completely honest, they were pissing me off. But it is a really good strategy to bear in mind, and there's an area at the end of the game where I use it really well. But for the most, you're just going to see me and the team with our lancers, with us a hammerburst, just, you know, raping fools. But that is one of the dredges that's mutated. Always prioritise him, because when he's got those talons in the air, did you see the luminous shit he was firing at me? That will kill you instantly. Don't ask me how I know. I know. But always, you've got to take out the pods, regardless of situation. The pods need to go. Keep as much distance as you can. Keep slamming those clips in. Keep trying to hit those actives. And just try your best. And if you've never played a Gears of War game before and you're trying this one out on Insane, something that you might not have queued onto, every time you kill the enemies in the area, you will hear an audio cue, and it's this toll noise. It kind of goes ding and tells you everybody's dead. If you don't hear that, there's still hostiles in the area, regardless of how, you know, empty it looks, how safe it looks. Never ever move forward unless you've heard the toll, because you'll get killed so easily by that happening. It's happened to me a few times when I got lazy and complacent. I hope you avoid those circumstances, because one thing that this game kind of sucks with is the checkpoints. Some of them are fantastic, other ones are before cutscenes where you have to take on massive groups of enemies and you don't get one till the end, and they're horrific. When you hit one of those, you know about it, because you'll be there for easily 5 to 10 deaths before you figure out the best way to do it. It can be super cruel. A good strategy for the dredgers when they mutate is a grenade, because this game does have a lot of grenades planted around it. They're generally off the beaten path, so if you explore a little bit and you look in the crooks and the corners, you should be able to find a resupply, but they will generally kill a mutated lambent with one grenade if the grenade is close enough to them. As far as strategies go for your weapons and things, I've already mentioned that I'm probably going to be just carrying assault rifles. I'm not going to be using shotguns, because personally on Insane, if you get that close, you're doing it wrong. I'm not going to be doing any melees if I can avoid them, but you are in for a couple of treats, because there's a couple of occasions where I get a retro lancer kill with a charge on a Theron guard. I was absolutely terrified. I thought I was going to die and I didn't. And a couple of chainsaw kills, and an execution actually, where I'm getting shot to shit while it's happening and I somehow don't die, so that's kind of cool. But don't mess about with them when you're playing. Executions will get you killed, all that kind of stuff. It's just too dangerous on Insane. Do it on normal, do it on casual. But that's the end of the first part of Homecoming, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and you take care now.